Well, oh, good. Oh, whoops. Sorry, it's good afternoon. Hi, how is everyone? I've taken a little bit of time to set this up. You don't need to know all the background stuff of it, so I am experienced in doing live streams. I should have known which way it was going to go. I'm Ros Boundy, and I'm here for the Boomer Press business that I'm bringing forward to each and every one of you. I've begun doing I've begun delving into wanting to get more of my Boomer Press out and active as live streams, and more especially on YouTube. And then I realised and found out that I can't actually do the live streams the way I wanted to through the various third party platforms, because you have to have a minimum number of subscribers for the for YouTube to go live. So I couldn't do it that way. So it was really great when Susie came up with relaunching her 5 foot rope TV. So I've jumped at the chance because I do know, whoops, I've just got to, sorry, I just realised I had the circle in my head. That's all right. It is all right. This is the first of what's going to be the more regular coming on stream on a Monday and a Thursday. At this point, I've decided that around the 5:30 is, well, it's my time, 5:30, as the scheduled time. So it's this time that was on the half hour or the hour that you may be looking at this now in your time. Daylight saving really does give me the irritations because I can never seem to work it out as I need to. Now, I am just trying to find where I am here. And yes, it is showing. I'm on my iPad. I'm looking at the iPad. That's what you're seeing me do here. And I'm trying to get it where I'm looking at what my live stream is doing. Yes, and it sounds like it's there. I just want to see if the volume is there. Yes, I can hear myself. So that's all good. Checks done. Now, this sort of thing you're normally having to do before you start doing the live stream. You go through all the checks, set up what you're going to use as your tool, set it all up and have it ready to go, and practice what you preach. Well, anyway, I do have to put more practice into it. It has been a while since I've actually gone into another area, as in someone else's page, for doing a live stream. Here on 5 foot rope, thank you so much, Susie, for bringing up the opportunity really to get sharing with others what special things that we do. Now, I have mentioned already that I'm doing this with for my boomerpress.online business. That's the website. It is boomerpress.online. It's taken a while to actually build that with the wonderful help of Michelle Peel with her design studio and her talents in creating website back-end things and the rest. So I've had a really wonderful time moving through all those processes. And what I'm wanting to do is to help people to write their memoirs, most predominantly, although it can be in novels, doing your fiction novels if you want to, the non-fiction works if you're wanting to write those sorts of books. I have written and published 2 books myself already under the now my mind's just gone blank, under the pen name of Abigail Betts. And that came about because, mainly because part of my name is Betts and Gail, so I just added the Abby to it. I do use my maiden name. I'm just trying to find the books. I thought, you see, here's another part of being prepared. They were in the drawer still. I hadn't got that much sorted. So here we go. This one is the first book that I'd written, and it's called Pieces with You by Abigail Betts. So it was a wonderful adventure to learn how to do the full process of writing a book, and I'd go through it again and again, just for that process of taking the lessons, because I did do a course for this, taking the lessons and speaking with coaches. It was a full-on integrated system of getting us into the business of publishing and writing our books as self-published. And here is the second book, Peace Beyond, Further Travels on the Path to Peace. And this one is sort of more of an extension so that you can do more in the workbook style. It's not a workbook, but it's got extra bits and pieces and parts to it so that you can continue on finding that's your inner peace. That in itself is a whole subject alone of doing little processes, some meditations, yes, some writings, yes, and then it got me through to wondering, why would I just limit what I'm doing to just non-fiction? I really wanted to work on doing a fiction book, something that is story. And you know what, that started because I used to sit with my dad as he was writing histories. He did one on the churches in the area of our hometown of Meningie, and also the Agricultural Bureau, and he did one on some of the family stuff, and it got me to, I would dearly love to do some of my own memoirs, yes, because everybody does have a story to tell. There is something that we are wanting to leave behind for our kids to remember us by. What's the best way of doing that? All of the stuff and things like what I've got behind me, eventually that goes in different ways, and the memories and sentimentality around them goes as well, because that's only important to me, why I've collected all of this. This particular plant as well, I'm hoping that continues onward. It's a Chinese happy plant, and that was in my mum's and dad's home as they left this mortal coil. I ended up having this. It certainly has survived my very poor ministrations. I'm not much of a gardener or a plant keeper, but it's still living, it's still alive, and as you can see, it's actually thriving. It's crept up so high now, I'm probably going to have to put it on the floor and sort of find a trellis type thing to have it climb that for support. It's a beautiful plant, I love it, and that means a heck of a lot to me because it was mum and dad's, and it's things like that. It too will probably eventually go. One of the things that tends not to a great deal is the books that we have. I've got quite a few still packed in the carport. I've got quite a few in my bookshelf over here. And it's one of those things that once you've written and published a book, they tend to hang along, whether it's in someone's bookshelf or library or gifted to family or things like that. I know when Dad did his, that was called the John and Pat story, it was mainly for us as the kids, but he did enough that he felt that it was possibly interesting enough for community members. So he did enough that was, I think you had to publish at least 120 minimum to be worthwhile. So that's the number that after each of us children received our copy, and the grandchildren, I think, and community members, they were able to purchase them, and they did. So it was something that, how do you know if anyone's interested unless you write your story and you actually start to put it out there? He did it in just a cost recovery way, not to make a profit or anything, because the first point was it was just for us kids to start with. That's the reason why he did it, why he wanted to write that. I'd egged him on for so many years. You've got so many funny stories to tell us. Write them down before you forget. So that's how that started for him, and doing their books, the ones that he has done. And unfortunately, I don't have all of the copies here with me. I know my brother has each of the copies of what he has written. I don't think I've unpacked them. They're probably still in the box out in the shed. But that's okay. I know that I've got them somewhere, and they'll continue onwards with what my kids decide that they will keep or not. But they are still in someone's hands. They are a perpetual keepsake somewhere. It's very hard when you publish that many books. It doesn't seem like a lot when you know that many authors publish, they'll get printed up a fair few to take to markets, book signings and all the rest. These days you don't have to have them pre-printed. There is what's called print on demand, and you do not have to have a high stock of them to invest a huge amount of money. And that's what's the best thing of it. So what I've decided as I'm moving along and wanting to write my own story for my kids, which I will do at some point, it's one of those things, the more that you learn is sometimes by showing others. So that's the next step, is show and share and teach others how to do it as well, because I have invested quite a lot in the process of learning how to do what I do. And I absolutely love it, that growth, that moving forward. And it's just the one step at a time. It's one process and you keep at it. As far as that starting to write a book, it's as simple as really picking up the pen. Here's the pen, you get the paper and you write the words. These days it probably is a lot more suited, which it is for me. Writing, use the keyboard, use the computer that I'm looking at. Even an iPad, I have got a keyboard that I Bluetooth into the iPad when I feel like sitting in my lounge chair and writing. It doesn't have to be in an office. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be, set in any space or time. That's where your pen and paper is the best. It really is. And then you can transpose it in whatever way you want to. So it's a wonderful process, writing, because it does get us into that mindset of thinking through some of what we really want to put into our own space and place, the book. It is our space and place. And the thing as well is that it doesn't have to be that first writing that's the final one. We're drafting all the time, and you can change anything at any point in time. Even after you finish a book, you can change it and republish. It doesn't have to be set in concrete. That's the other part that I really enjoy with what you can do with writing a book, with putting your thoughts down on the paper to start and create that end product. Yeah. Now, I was going to give you just a starting tip and show you what I have, which was to do with this one that I've got here. Now I've got to try and think, how did I do that? Was this one? Adding a tip for you, just something to use that can be part of that tool to take you into a first starting step for writing. If this is something that you're wanting to do for writing your story, it can be a life story, memoir. Look, there is different meanings to life story and memoir. Life story is more like the autobiographical-ish, probably. And this is a tool that I purchased a little while ago called Life Story. It is a set of cards, as you can see. So it's 150. It says 150 on the side. I was just wondering what that said there, Life Story. So it's a toolkit. I find it very interesting that someone would print this up. I have a funny feeling it might have been one of those types that someone copied it and didn't do a very good job for the back cover and etc. But it still has the inside factor of what can be helping you to write more like a life story. And I'm going to show you this in a minute. Because memoir itself can be more themed. It's not really creating a life story. Memoir is picking something that's been important for you in your life and expanding that into being, yes, part of your story, but it's one of those that can be more helpful for others reading it, that they can gain some insights that might help them along the way as well. Because I have part of my story has been a cancer journey, and it is something that I have thought about writing my story around that theme. Okay, or it could be any other type of theme that you've got in how you've lived part of your life and creating a memoir around that. So it is the different things that we can. Oh, sorry about that. I had that sitting the wrong way. That's the top of it. I'm just going to, yes, anyway. Let's get the put, just as an exercise for yourself. Look, if you're really biting the bullet, really wanting to take the next step in gathering for yourself something to do to get started, because I know there are questions that I get around, I just don't know where to start. I've got no idea about it. What do I do? So I thought for this first one, we'll just open the box, which I have and showed you this. You do not need to have this type of kit if you don't want to, but it is a start. So for today's, I thought what we might do, here we are. There's the box with all the cards out. And as you can see, here we've got it where there's a pile. I'll get them out the way. Here's one pile that is early life. Whoops. Early life. We should do it from the left to the right, shouldn't we? I'm just going to get them out the way. You'd think I'd be used to doing the card stuff. I am, because I do them every morning. These are a little bit different. They haven't been opened, and there's a heck of a lot there if you're going to shuffle them up, which, look, we might do. And there we have early life, midlife, and later life. Can use any one of these. I could use absolutely any one of these, but what we might look at is some of the questions that are here. Now, I'm just going to take them. Let's start from the early life one, and we can use 3 cards from the early life. So I'm going to take these out of the way, and when you have the time, or you can even do it now, is to get the piece of pen and paper that you've got close handy and just write down some notes relative to what these cards are suggesting even now. So here we have 3 questions, and what you could start with for now is, which primary school did you attend and what type of school was it? That's the opener. And you don't have to think that you're putting it in any order at all at this point in time. I've just chosen early life because most of us do tend to remember something about our early life, that we can write something about it, just jotting it down. So for me, my early life, as far as primary school, which is what this question is about, which primary school did you attend and what type of school was it? Well, it was at Minlaton, because I was born and raised over on the York Peninsula in South Australia. Cereal cropping ground, dry land, farming. There wasn't irrigation then, because in those years, which would have been the 40s and 50s when Dad and Mum started their farming life on their own farm, there was reliance only on rainwater tanks for the house, and anything else that was reticulated, I think, was having to be carted in from memory. The school I went to, it was the primary school, Minlaton Primary School, and it had the usual buildings. Back then, this is where you would describe the types of buildings. Write down as if you are brainstorming for what is the memories, from what is the memories. Write as much detail as you can, just so that you can get the feel and move into those memories themselves, because what our school was as a primary school was certainly quite small. It wasn't a really big town at the time that we were there, and I can remember most of the children in the class. You might even want to describe who was in your first class there. because it is the first school that I had gone to, and there were quite a few of our neighbours, of course, that went at the same time, because I'm one of a twin, and there were 3 sets of twins in the same class when we started school. So it was a great deal of fun to have that connection with other twins. It was only one set of the twins who were identical, and my sister and I are not identical, and one of the other family's twins were not identical as well. So we had that connection, and the classes probably would have been around about the 2025. So that's what I remember from that first primary school. I could write a whole heap more. So you take the time and you jot down what you can remember, do a bit of a brain dump. It doesn't matter what the words look like or sound like. It will be fun to just get that flow of writing happening, just to start your process. Okay? Now, with that one, we've got the next question. Yeah, we'll go through the 3 questions. So the next question, once you've got something around your primary school, so here we've got these 2 questions, probably go hand in hand. So maybe what you might find more beneficial is to describe your father first, and then ask the question, what are your most memorable stories of your father? So 2 very connected questions here, and these were, well, random-ish from the top of the deck of this particular card set. So my father, he was a tall man, and he was very trim, and from my memory at the start, when I first feel that I knew my dad, he was a skinnier man, tallish. I don't know if he was 6 foot or not, but when you're a little kid, every dad seems really tall, but he certainly was a taller man. And I've just noticed I've still got that introducing boomer press. I hope it doesn't bother you there, but I can probably block that one out for now. Give us a bit more room. Sorry about that. So describe your father. Dad did wear glasses at the time, and he was a smoker for quite a few of those early years. And one of the things I remember was when he was trying to give up smoking, and he did for a long time. But what he used to do was, and this is part of the most memorable stories, you see, one leads into the other. And you can start to create those stories on paper for yourself, trying to remember the things about your father that, are interesting, or any type of factor around what you want to just put down on paper. We're not looking at how the story is created, we're just writing. So Dad, he used to eat the crown mints, the peppermints, to try and stop that feeling of wanting to have a cigarette. So that was his favourite, instead of lighting a cigarette. And back in those days, a lot of the men did do the roll your owns. So it was that thing that needed to be done with the hands that was what was most missed, I think. And he did have a hard time trying to give it up. He did succeed for a long time. I don't remember. Yes, they did. He did go back to smoking once. I remember the shift, the move that went into moving from Minlaton, packing up, and buying a farm at Menengi, between Menengi and Canalpin. And I do remember him smoking again then. So very interesting what we remember. Okay. So this is one way that you can actually take this step of starting to write. Now, pen and paper is fine. I wanted to show you something else that I use. Now, you don't have to use it at all, but there are programs that make it quite a lot easier to shift into writing in particular ways and formats when you really feel that you're ready to put some of this into a book, into that organised aspect of writing a book. So I'm going to share the screen here. I'm not sure how this is going to work as far as, here we go, that should show it up. Yep, but it's going to show the back side of other stuff I've got open, which I don't want. Hold on a sec and I shall drop these down. This is where preparedness needs to be done beforehand, and I didn't. But what we've got is, what I use is called Scrivener. So this is what I've actually put up on the screen for you. It is a program that does, this is sample, so you get the video tutorials, it's a user manual, and here's where we start. I'm on the all, so this would show that you've got the option of a blank option. There's a fiction option with some demonstrations there, templates. There's a non-fiction option that shows various ways of writing, whether it's an essay. Non-fiction is the one that I've used. The blank one, the general non-fiction, whether you're doing papers for uni or research, undergrad. Script writing, if you're interested in doing script writing. And here we have a miscellaneous, so it can do a recipe collection from a template, poetry, persuasive lecture. I haven't looked at that one. So what I have actually done before is the novel, and it's probably where I would take someone to, once you're learning the program, but what all you need really is the blank page. So that's what you just open up, a blank page, and I'd title it Tester and leave it at that. That's going to open the one right now, and you start typing. So from here, there we've got the draft, and what's the question? Early life. And you'd put the question in there, which primary school did you attend and what type of school was it? Okay, so from there you would actually put that as part of what you extend into your writing. You write it down. You can do it on pen and paper and retype it there if you want to. And this one is so easy. All you do to add another page or chapter is down the bottom. Hit a plus thing, and I can start writing this one that is going to be describe your dad. And then what are your most memorable stories of your father? Now, I probably needed to put those cards up there so it didn't look like I was looking down at the table, but that's okay. This is how I've got it set up. So move forward in whatever other questions that you might like to follow through with, or ideas that you can follow through with as the structure. So you might put in this one, describe your mum, and put that there. See how, and that actually automatically populated the title for there. So describe your mother, and write down what memorable oh gosh, memorable stories you may have around your mother. All right, so it's that type of thing that you can use, and I've also got some AI stuff happening, as in the spell checks, AI assistance, that gives me that option of being able to check things out now. Just going to go like that so we don't need to share the screen anymore. You get the idea, don't you? Okay, so from there, I'm just wondering, I can't see comments coming up. I don't even know if I've got anyone watching me whilst I'm doing this live stream. I'm just going to have a quick look. How do you do that on the iPad? No, you don't. No, so that's okay. So from this, you'd move forward into whatever is the next area of seeing what you want to write about as your memories come forward. There is so many different cards in here that we can move it on to the midlife, and I'm going to shuffle these ones and put 3 more down. So here we go for midlife. What you might move on to for the next set of questions is going to be these ones. And thankfully this is in recording mode, of course, and I'm going to write these down so that it gives me some exercises to actually use for myself as I'm going to build this one up as we move forward in some further progressions for the Boomer Press, the live stream sessions that I have planned coming up, that I will plan coming up, whether they and see what it is that you'd like to see as far as writing tips and tricks and skills and the rest for these sessions as well. So this one is the midlife, and it's asking the question, do you have any grandchildren now? If so, what advice would you give them? Now that's a really good question, isn't it? I'm just going to try and going to zoom into this one so we can see them a little more closely. I've just got to find which camera I'm using. Oh goodness, I wonder what camera I'm using. I've got 4, so it takes a bit to find the right one. Here we go. I've got to choose zoom and pan. Let's go to that. Now that's not going to it straight away. Can you see them zoomed in or not? It's not doing it as well as I was hoping. Oh, okay. So it's not camera B. It must be this one. This one. Sometimes it takes a bit, doesn't it? And one of the things that I've found over time, it never pays to panic, because that's pointless. It really is. You just take your time. So here we go. That's a bit clearer to see. Do you have any grandchildren now? If so, what advice would you give them? And the next one following on from that, here we have, do you have other significant people in your life not mentioned so far? And then we have, what did you learn from your first job? 3 really good ideas for doing those little bits of memory brain dump and just writing them down, so that if we go back to our screen share, I'm just finding the button for it. So if we go back to here, these ones were midlife. This is midlife, and that you saw where the label picks up from there, and that had, I'm just going to see if that brings it up any bigger. I'll have to learn how to zoom into this so it makes the words themselves a bit bigger. There's got to be a Zoom thing somewhere, and that's not the Zoom meeting stuff. So midlife, do you have any grandchildren now? And if so, what advice would you give them? Okay, so that's that one. Then we can go down to the next one. And that one, well, I could write it in here if I wanted to. And that is, do you have other significant people in your life not mentioned so far? Now see how that does add it there, but it's not really a title worthy line, is it? So I'm going to X that out and put it there, and this time midlife 2. I'll label it that way instead. So you can see how flexible these are, and I could also do this one as the third one. What did you learn? Whoop, I've got a dot in there. What did you learn from your first job? And always when you are typing live, it's very hard to actually do it accurately, guaranteed. Now I'm going to get this one ready, and this one's going to be the next lot. Later life. I'm just going to shuffle those. It's almost like doing the tarot cards again. guess what? That might be something that's an option as well later. Right, let's go back over to those. And here we have the first one of later life and reflection, the second one. So it really does give us a good 9 points for today to be doing these questions. And what we've got here is later life and reflection. What have you learnt during your working life that you'd like to pass on to others? Oh, I can read it from the screen, silly me. Okay, so what have you learnt what have you learnt during your working life that you'd like to pass on to others? And then you can do it this way. If you could visit anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? And the third one, here's this one, later life and reflection. Do you have any goals you'd like to accomplish? Okay, so there's 3 of later life and reflection. And the thing with that we can do as well, and I'll share the screen, we can put that up there as well. So it is, and this is where I'm having to look down because I haven't got that there. Let's go later life 1. Go into there, and it is what have you learnt during your working life that you'd like to pass on to others? So that's the first one. And then we go add another to later life 2. Go here, and it is, if you could visit anywhere in the world, where would it be and why? Sorry for looking down, but I must needs do that. Just the way where the cards are on the table. And later life 3, let's ask the question, do you have any goals you'd like to accomplish? So there we have all of those. Now these aren't labelled very well. I'm going to do that early life 1, and I'll show you why. And this one would be early life, early life 2, and we'd go early life 3, and we've got midlife. You saw how that was faded out a bit. That's because I hadn't typed it in fully and properly. Okay, so you can see how these are in the order that we've laid them down as far as early life, midlife, later life. What we can then actually do, if you prefer to shift them in a different way, and this can just be your notebook, having loose leaf and shifting them around with one of each of these having a page to one each of these questions. So what we can do with these then is to have them like this, rather than the 3 early lives and then the 3 midlives and then the 3 later lives. You can see here, and I'm just going to, I can't, let me have a look. I'll just do this, get me out the way. So you can see that we've got 3 sequences, and when we use some of these wonderful little programs, like you can see here, what we can do is then shift early life, midlife, we shift that one up to there, and we shift later life one up to there, and there we've got the sequence in the way that we have it behind us here of this early life sequence here. Okay, and then what we're going to do is shift the early life 2, midlife 2 under that, later life 2 under that, and you can see we've got them in that sequence of how we are using these cards to actually create some sort of a format of making the story mean something in a sequence that we like to see. It doesn't matter really which way that we use the tools. what it is bringing those tools. Now I'm trying to figure out how to move that one off, and I think I can do this. I'm going to shift it and not share it like that. We've finished with that for now. So it's great to use various different tools and programs, but honestly the easiest way to get started writing really is the notepad with the pen or pencil and just write. I think those cards are a great tool. They're going to be a great tool as we move along with doing more writing, and discovering what areas do you really feel comfortable in working your writing. It's going to be just something we progress with, so certainly you can let me know via the direct messages, probably more so on my Ros Boundy personal profile, which I think with Facebook, if you click somewhere on that, you'll get that profile page and you can direct message me that way, or through under each of these chats relevant to what live stream there is active at the time. Ask your questions under there. Mention with the hashtag replay that you've watched the replay, and if you've got any questions there, I'll certainly be going back to all of them to keep an eye on what questions you might have, to see what interests you might like to see moving forward as far as writing goes, as far as publishing books, even the branding, brand for yourself as far as an author goes, and creating that level of what is the way to write, that the progress of what I can offer with the services I've got. I'm just doing the Boomer Press online website there in the comments. It should show up in the comments. That's something I'm not 100% sure how it moves into the destination that I'm using as far as the 5-foot rope. Thank you so much, Susie, for opening up this opportunity for people as far as a 5-foot rope TV. Hopefully I've done it correctly for this one. That is my first one into this space, because I only just did a very quick intro the other day to test it out. So this is the longer version. I'm yet to decide yet whether it will be just the 30 minutes, like most others I think are tending to do just 30 minutes, or whether I plan it to be a full hour each time. So certainly we'll keep an eye on that, of what our needs are, what your needs are, in how you like to view what you do view on Facebook live streams anyway, because I certainly know that with YouTube it can be quite a lot different. And this will eventually be put on YouTube as well, because the streaming software that I use can multi-stream. I haven't done that this time, so it will only be here. Oh, excuse me, hiccup. It will only be here on 5-foot rope at the moment, and then shared across to my profile that is the Boomer Press page. So it certainly deserves to be on there. I need to work out how to do that, because at the moment YouTube has restriction on the number. You've got to meet a minimum number to be able to do live streams, and certainly I'm not sure what the Boomer Press allows in Instagram or on Facebook for that. There will need to be some bit of homework for myself with that too. So certainly if you're wanting to get started, get your pen and paper out, use what I've suggested today, and check up on what's going to be happening next Monday. It could be more of these cards, having some further questions set so that you can keep fleshing out what you're doing with your writing style. We'll just see. We're just going to go on an adventure twice a week at this point for the hour, and that is going to be on the Mondays at 5:30 Adelaide time, so that probably equates to 5 p.m. Queensland time, and Thursdays at the same time. So at this point for an hour. So be prepared to have a little bit of time for yourself in really taking yourself back to memory lane. And I'd just like to encourage you to continue picking up your notebook and pen or your keyboard and laptop or something like that. Choose a word processing dock of some sort and just type. And some of them even have speech to text. Okay, we'll show you that one another day. Don't leave it too late until it is too late before you start writing, because that's part of why I'm doing this as well, because so many of mum and dad's stories were still lost in those annals of time before they had time to write it all down. I wanted to see them write more, well, especially dad, but advancing years and the aging body just didn't allow it, and it was too late. So get into it. Don't leave it too late until it is too late. So I'd love to see you here next time, which will be next Monday. Pen and paper ready or a keyboard, and we'll join together in continuing with our writing journey. So thank you so much, and we'll see you then. Had to find my finish button. Bye for now.